Hey.
Oh, hey.
Morning.
Hey, morning.
We do this in the morning now.
Yeah, and I'm really tired.
Yeah, I'm tired too, but I think that's because I think it's because both of us had kind of a nonstop weekend.
Yeah, we've been traveling a lot lately, which is good.
Yep.
And it's fun, but God.
The nice thing is when your summer is going to be as crazy as I think ours is going to be, winter is like kind of almost look forward to, where it's like, oh.
Yeah, I can finally just like sleep.
Not do anything.
Like relax. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you do this weekend? I know you guys went somewhere.
I went to Grid Life and back in a day with Ryan, who's behind the camera over
That's
there.
like a just 12-hour round trip.
Pretty much, yep. I was like, well, it's 12 hours of driving, but there's 12 hours a day still there.
Yeah.
But it was good. We left like 3:30 in the morning.
Man.
We got back at 11:30. Actually, it was like pretty much a perfect day. Like we couldn't have packed like more into it, but it wasn't like overwhelming.
Yeah. Just a lot of driving.
Yeah. When Ryan took a nap on the way there, that was the only time I was kind of like tired because the podcast I put on, for some reason, it was the one episode of this podcast that was like not exactly like my thing.
Oh man.
But I'm one of those people that I need to like get through it in canonical order. Yeah, I need to like listen to the whole thing. Can't just skip it. Cause like, what if a good nugget is in here?
Yeah.
No. How about you? Where'd you go?
Yeah, we went out to Fuel Fest LA. So we flew out on Thursday, late Thursday, and got there about 5 a.m. on Friday.
Oh God.
We got there to LA at a decent time. The rental service.
Because you guys had to drive down to Chicago first to fly out.
Yeah, so it was about a 3.5 hour drive down to Chicago. Flew out of there. Well, actually, when we boarded the plane, and we sat in the plane for like an hour. They hadn't like closed the door or anything. Like everyone was on.
Yeah.
I was like, are they like waiting for someone? I'm like, my God, it's like an hour. If they're not here, like let's go. That's their problem. Like, you know? And I see them like kind of like scuffling around, like the flight attendants and stuff. I'm like, oh God, something happened. And sure shit, they're just like, yeah, so the captain like missed his flight here. So we don't have a pilot currently. The closest person that's on call is about 2 hours away. So dude, we're gonna.
This is when your simulator time pays off.
I know.
This is where you're like, I can do this.
I did, and they're like, nah. They thought about it. They thought about it for a little bit, and they're like, no, we got this guy.
That sucks.
I was like, all right. So we had to deboard the plane, wait like an hour and a half. Everything was like closing because it was like
because at O'Hare.
Yeah. Everything was like closing down, and like we all just like bum rushed this McDonald's because we hadn't eaten yet.
Oh,
and we were
geez.
like, oh, we'll just like eat when we get to LA. We'll just grab like fucking Del Taco.
Now
or
you're
something.
all dying.
Yeah, now we're like all dying, and we're like, okay, like we could have been there by now.
Yeah.
And we like bum rushed this freaking McDonald's like all of this plane because we're like the last plane to like leave for the night. It feels like, and they're just like, oh my God, we were about ready to close, and we just made them stay open for like another hour. But I was like, I was hungry. I needed my chicken McNuggets. So
chicken nuggets. Hey, were they as good as when we went to CMA Performance?
What was
the chicken nuggets?
No, have not been able to find any of that caliber since
that was
then. Those are the crispiest of chicken nuggets. That was wild.
They're about on par as Firehouse Subs Italian sub. I think it is.
Oh, Casey loves that.
Yeah, Casey.
Especially the honey ham. Honey ham, he really enjoys.
Really likes that.
But yeah, no, the trip was super good. Fuel Fest was awesome. The Airbnb we stayed at was really cool. It was like right next to Irwindale Speedway.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was like a 5-minute drive. And yeah, it was a cool group of people and had a good time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, went and saw like some of the Fast and Furious stuff, which is cool.
It's always dope.
Went and walked like the park up by the Hollywood sign, Griffith Park and stuff like that. It was really neat.
Hell yeah. Well, we're back.
We are back.
In the saddle again. What are we talking about today, Gels?
Well, today, I believe we were talking about our favorite engine platforms.
Yes.
Of all time. Or just in general.
So, I don't know if I have one favorite because I feel like there's always like reasons why it's not good or something.
Yeah. I don't know if there is like the perfect one out there because they all have some sort of like downfall.
Yeah.
Some worse than others. But yeah, all of them do seem to have some sort of downfall, whether if it's reliability or just cost or.
So I'll start.
Yeah.
Where I think one of my favorites is kind of due to its charm, but it's very tunable, but the reliability can be a little iffy sometimes. Sure. So I would say the RB platform is got to be really high up there with me because At the end of the day, I don't know if anything sounds as good as an RB like at full tilt with like a good exhaust.
You're right. They do sound really killer.
it's insane. And I really like the RB25. I mean, kind of biased because I have one, but that's why I got it.
Sure.
Because the RB26 is absolutely dope, but unbelievably expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I know that, you know, everyone wants like an RB. They love the sounds of the RB, like come in dope cars and stuff like that. And it's like, the maintenance on that shit is just insane. Like if something goes wrung, it's incredibly expensive.
Parts are expensive, especially for RB26. RB20, I think, is awesome. Sounds really, really good. But you need to spend a lot of money to not make a whole lot of power.
Right.
So that's a cool motor if you just want it to sound cool and like probably reliable because you'll be running it super high strong.
Right.
But the RB25 is that middle child I feel like is really in a good spot. But the parts before were hard to get.
Sure.
So when I need something, it was like, well, it's kind of annoying to get, but you can get it.
Yep.
Now that they're more available, they're a lot more expensive. So
yeah.
The good news is like the R33, once that became legal in the US, a lot more RB25 stuff became
available.
Available.
Sure.
So once the R34 comes over, because I know they didn't make a whole lot of GTRs, but they did make a lot of GTTs and like all that, like the Stagia and all that stuff that had RB25. Hopefully it'll become a little bit easier, but yeah, it's a cool platform. It just sounds really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of charming because of the cars that came in, but we got to talk about oiling or lack of oiling because that's the Achilles heel of an RB engine is the oil pumps aren't great, as in they can go out. I think it's the N1 pump if you replace it with that, it's usually pretty good, but
it's kind of like the solution.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like there is a known issue and that's just oiling. And so I think anyone with an RB, whenever they're driving it or putting it hard, they're just staring at the oil gauge like pressure.
like
pressure.
we good. Yep. All right.
Okay. But yeah. What about you?
The first one that comes to mind is, I don't know, I was always like really, really interested in like the 2G Eclipses from back in the day, like when I was first like getting into cars. And I don't know, everything that I've like been around since like when I first started, even though I got like a GS Eclipse and it had the Chrysler 420A in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always like, oh man, I want a 4G63 at some point. And like the early 4G63s, I think, you know, they had like the known like crank walk issue and stuff like that. But I think those are just some absolute powerhouses of a platform.
It's crazy how much power you can pack in those four little cylinders.
It's insane. I mean, you look at like the stuff that like Boost and Performance has been able to do with it. You know, with
MA
like their
and
MA Performance too. But like, you know, I think Boost just like broke into like the 6s with like a manual all-wheel drive 4-cylinder. Like that is absolutely insane. Yeah, I love that platform. I think it's super strong in a sense where like you can really build those things up. At least back when I was like really looking at them and stuff like that, parts seemed like pretty readily available. I don't know how it is now. I've been out of kind of the Eclipse scene for a little while, or like the DSM scene for a while. Yeah, I mean, you see some gnarly Evos out there, and you see some gnarly GSXs that are putting down some ridiculous times. And it's like, yeah, it's just like big turbo, some upgraded internal, like, you know, it's obviously built, but like, you know, it's such a supported platform because it came in so many different things. Like,
how much are those motors right now by themselves?
I haven't checked, honestly. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really kept up with it.
Yeah.
But I knew they didn't used to be terrible.
Okay.
Like people were swapping them around for the longest time. And then they came in like the 2 generations of the Eclipse. They came in a bunch of Evos. They came in like the Galant. Like the VR4 Galants had 4G63s in them.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I really like the VR4 Galants.
Those are super cool.
I think they're super cool.
I always really wanted one of those.
I had the chance to buy one and I didn't. I bought a Mustang instead. I don't really regret it, but I have not seen a VR4 Galant around here since then.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah, I saw one time it was at like a car meet over by Eau Claire that we went to, and I was like, this is the coolest thing.
Oh yeah.
I love this thing.
Super low key.
I think even like there was like some Kias or something that they slapped the 4G63. It was like a Kia or a Hyundai that they threw like a 4G63 in. It was like NA, but it was still like, it was all the same parts and everything. Yeah, they just came in so many like different platforms, and I think that kind of helped because there was just so many of them out there, whether if they were turbo or NA or whatever. But Yeah, I've just seen some really incredible things with that engine, especially for being just like a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine from like the early 90s.
Yep.
Like, it's pretty incredible.
Well, kind of going off that, what it reminds me of is, for me, the SR20. If you can't tell, I'm a Nissan fan. Okay, just deal with it.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I always was intrigued by the SR20. I didn't really get this whole like, why does everyone love the SR20 so much? And then when I got mine in my 240, I was like, oh, I get it.
I get it now.
It's like a super rev happy little 4-cylinder that's a torque monster down low with like the stock intake manifold, but super cool. Kind of a similar thing. You can make that 4G63 horsepower on it, but I don't know.
Reliability.
Yeah, it gets kind of scary. And I don't know. The like 300 horsepower is where I think it's really, really good because it can run for a long time on that without really wearing out. But there is a charm, I think, for me at least, for 4-cylinders that are making like 300 to 400 horsepower. Like it's so crazy.
And it's sad that that's become like, you know, just like nowadays. You know, to like a lot of people, it's just like you see cars coming off the line with 500, 600, 700, 900 horsepower. It's like, you know, 300 horsepower isn't what it used to be, you know, 10 years ago. And it's kind of unfortunate because I've never even gotten to experience that. So, it is crazy, but they're still fun. And I think people, you know, they gotta realize that those cars are still incredibly fun because it's like 300, 350 horsepower, but it's in a super small car.
And they're light.
And
like,
they're super light. So it's like, it feels like a rocket ship. And
that's what I think kind of goes with the SR for me, is usually people are putting those in pretty light cars.
Right, yeah.
So, and SRs I've seen so many SR swaps into cool things like Miatas. I think Hoonigan put an SR in their Miata. It's such a cool motor, like, because it's a 4-cylinder. So if you put it in something that had a 4-cylinder, it's great. Or if it keeps kind of
the balance the same. It's not like dumping like a heavy ass LS in the front of like a, you know, Miata, and then like, oh well, now my weight's all off and I can't drive the thing. Like
exactly, like it's super unbalanced. Now it makes too much power. Where the SR, you can really determine where it is. And the cool thing with the SR is like you can put it in rear-wheel drive cars because the way it's set up with 4G, it's a little. I'm sure people do it, but it's a little bit kind of crazy to get that to work.
Yeah, I can't say I've really seen that. It's just a lot of all-wheel drive platforms. I mean, you look at the GSX and the Evo and stuff. That's kind of what it was intended for. But I mean, you got like the GST too, so you got like the front-wheel drive option. But yeah, I can't say I've ever really seen a rear-wheel drive kind of like.
I know the communities.
I know like a lot of people swap them into like the Mitsubishi like Mighty Maxes. Oh, like the little trucks. Yeah. Like, I know it was like a super common swap, like back in the day, like when I was on like the forums and stuff. I couldn't recall if those were, I think they were front wheel drive though.
Dude, I know one rear wheel drive one.
Do you?
Tokyo Drift. Evo.
That's true.
Dude.
But it was still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how that movie magic.
Yeah, I don't know either. This big Nissan guy.
Yeah, I like the RB. I don't really love the VQ. Like, it does its thing, but I'm not the biggest fan of the way most of them sound. Like, you and I have talked before. They can be cool. They can sound good, but the vast majority of people straight pipe it.
Just make it as loud as possible.
Yeah, put a crack tune on or whatever. I hate you if you did that.
Flame tune.
Yeah. Stupid. Don't do that. It just sounds like an angry trumpet. But it gets the job done, but SRs and RBs are really, I think, where it's at when it comes to Nissan stuff.
I think the next one that at least that I've been starting to see like a ton of, and literally everything, is the K24, or just like any K series motor in general. Like we just went to Fuel Fest and there were so many just like K swap things. I was like, this is crazy. And it's like, I see it popping up on like, you know, the groups I'm in on Facebook all the time, especially like the FRS BRZ group. A lot of those like first gen like BRZs, people are dumping just big turbo Ks, like K series in them. I'm like, holy shit.
It
looks good. And they put down like a decent amount of power.
The funny thing in those cars though is like with the Boxer setup, they put a K series in there.
It looks so tiny.
Well, and there's so much room for like turbo manifold, like turbos and exhaust manifolds and all that stuff. So I'm like, wow, there's a lot of room to work with in there.
And it was actually super cool too, because we were setting up the booth and everything, and this like RX-8 went by, and I was like, oh shit, there's an RX-8 here. Like, that's super cool. And I'm like, that is not a rotary though.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely didn't sound like a rotary. And I was like, I'll have to go check that out later. And I did. And sure shit, it had a it had a big turbo K like series motor. And I was like, damn. And it looked really good. I was like, that would probably be super fun. Now, I'm a little sad that they swapped the rotary out of it, but like, I get it. I'm glad they replaced it with what they did though, because it looks super cool. And I just bet that would be such a blast to drive.
Yeah.
Like, maybe something a little more reliable.
When I was at Grid Life, the setup for that, for doing the like the time attack type stuff or road racing, is the power to weight and tire. So it's all like this triangle of what you can do.
Yeah.
So, but what that allows is a lot of creativity. So that made Grid Life to me super fascinating, because they're just swaps of everything.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of K series Miatas.
That's cool.
A big thing I saw. Bunch of K series S2000s too, which was interesting. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of just swaps in general, which I think now is way more of a common thing, where like you see a car and you're like, well, I don't know what it has in it, like, because people swap
You
everything.
just never know, especially the older ones, because like, yeah, it's like, oh, the engine popped, and it's like, I have the option to like just put something stock back in it, or just do something really stupid and crazy and awesome.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people, especially with like the older Hondas and, you know, cars like that, or RX-8s, and maybe like a little thrashed around BRZ, they're like, yeah, I'll put something cool in it.
Yeah.
So, no, that's really neat.
I think, so you talked about, you know, that RX-8 didn't have the rotary in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think another motor for me, like the 13B, is super cool.
The 13B is an amazing motor. I know, like, obviously they have their downfalls.
Yeah.
But like, I would say like the FD generation, like the REW 13B, is like the GOAT. Like, it is so cool. Like, they, you know, I think they had their peak with that motor, because even though, like, yes, apex seals are an issue and like rebuild time is, you know, imminent, like, that's just the name of the game with a rotary engine. You have a lot of wear with the motor. And when you compare that to like the 13B through an RX-8, you know, the Renesis, you know, that FD REW is sitting pretty dang high, because like they really messed up the Renesis motor, especially on that first generation of the RX-8. Like, it is rough.
Yeah, weird step back. I mean, is it because of emission stuff that they?
Yeah, they like tried to. It was like emission stuff. They just tried a lot of new tech with it. They're like, oh, we're gonna make it like more efficient. We're gonna make it, you know, like better with emissions. We're gonna, you know, step into like the new age of like the rotary engine, and it just didn't work. It's a lot of stuff went wrong with it. Because I mean, you look at like some of like the earlier ones that were still like carbureted and stuff, like the 12A.
It's just hilarious.
You know, like the carbureted rotaries, and it's like it's so goofy, but like they're awesome. And then you get to like the 13B with, you know, the actual fuel injection and stuff and turbos. Mm-hmm. The FD 13B, the REWs are so freaking good. Yeah. And then you get into like, you know, like the Cosmos and stuff that had like the 20Bs, the 3 rotors.
Yeah, those are so cool. And the Cosmos themselves look
those, yeah, they do. And it's like, those engines are so freaking expensive right now, because like everyone saw like, you know, like Mad Mike was doing, and Rob Dahm was doing with like the 3 rotors, and then like building his own 4 rotors and stuff.
That car is
like,
insane, by the way.
It's absolutely wild. I'm so jealous you got to see it.
I didn't realize it was his car at Grid Life at first, until I was like, damn, this is a crazy looking FD. That's a big turbo. Like, whoa. So I took a picture of it, and then I was like, wait a minute.
Hold on.
This is Rob Dahm's car. And I was like, that's Rob Dahm.
And it's a little bit longer.
Well, it's like, in person, it is substantially longer.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like a Corvette.
Yeah, it actually really does look like a Corvette, but I don't think when I was there, he ever had the front on. So it's all exposed. So it's kind of hard to like really see, but I think with that on, it would look really big. Yeah.
No, dude, hats off to that guy, because he's doing some absolutely insane things with rotary engines, and it's like my idol. Like, he does some really cool shit, and it's like, you know, it's him and his crew. Like, they're working all the time on that stuff, and it's super cool. I love the rotaries. I think it's a great one. Like, obviously, super unique sound, super unique platform in general. Yes. crazy rev happy. I love my RX-8, like even though it does have the Renesas motor in it, it's been good to me so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super fun to drive. Everything's smooth. Like there's no vibrations to anything. It's just like it's like you're driving in like a simulator. Like it's got the electric power steering, and then you got like a 9,500 RPM freaking rotary with a 6-speed transmission. It's like it feels like you're playing a game. Like there's no like vibrations. There's nothing.
And the sound is unmistakable. And obviously they have their downfalls with power curves and all that stuff, torque curves. Or
definitely not the fastest thing when they're NA, that's for sure. But
I mean, it's not. But this is the other thing I think people need to understand is, and if you listen to this podcast, that you don't have to have a fast car for it to be fun.
Right.
Like you can have a quick car or like something rev happy. So I've always really wanted like a S13 with an NA SR in it because they did that. Yeah. And it just because it's a fun motor to drive and you don't have the complications like a turbo. But with the RX-8, it's super fun to drive, but you're not getting in it like this is going to be a fast car. You're just like, this is fun. Because you can rev it out.
You look at like the actual like suspension geometry and like the actual like characteristics of the car. That's what makes it really fun.
Exactly.
Like, and it's really funny because I look back now and I'm like, the similarities between the freaking RX-8 and FRS are insane. Yeah. Like the front, like the styling is honestly very similar. Yep. Like I look at like pictures of the two cars that that I had at the time, like back like side by side. I'm like, these are like the same freaking car, and it's like they're putting down similar power, have the same torque issue. Yeah. Rear wheel drive platforms, and I'm like, damn, I must have like a type or something.
Not turbo. That's your
not type. Turbo. Yep. NA, slow as balls.
But it makes it fun because the other thing too is I think people don't understand that there is too much power where you're not going to use it. Right. So it's like you never get past 4,000 RPM because like, okay, this is pulling really hard. I got to like shift. You can't rev it out. Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I've really enjoyed the car so far. I mean, everyone's goal with something like an RX-8 is either turbo it or swap like a FD motor into it. So it's like, we'll see what the future holds. I guess. I don't know. Because turbo Renesases are finicky. I mean, you can only imagine. I guess, the already troublesome engine and slap a turbo on it, kind of recipe for disaster. But
blow up.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that car is just like give it the oil it needs and give it and keep it cool. Yeah, and it should be fine. Done a lot of things that kind of help the longevity of it, hopefully. With like the Sone adapter, premix, separate reservoir for oil and stuff like that. Swapped out like the actual oil in the engine for something like super heavyweight to help like the bearings out. Because like before they just have like a really lightweight oil because it has to burn it and inject it. Oh. So it's like super shitty on the bearings. Yeah. Because there's like it's super thin and it like heats up really hot. Yeah. And it gets really thin. So I put like a really heavy ass like Rotella like oil in it, and then because of the Sone adapter, I can just inject fresh premix all the time. Oh. And it helps a ton.
That makes sense. Yeah. So we talked about a lot of Japanese motors. Are there any non-Japanese platforms that you really like?
I think that the Coyote from the Ford Mustangs is
literally where I was
an incredible engine.
Dude, I've seen those things just get absolutely beat to shit. Yeah, and just keep them back for more.
Everyone that owns them just beats the fuck out of them. Yeah. Like that's Mustang owners, you know how it goes. But yeah, I mean, you've seen it from drag racing to freaking drifting to like everything. Those 5.0s are just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that platform's insane. The downfall to it a little bit is because the reason you don't see a lot of things, it's really wide.
It is a huge engine, really so it's like wide. Hard to put it in something else. Yep. But like the platforms that they are in are super good. They take modifications well. They're pretty reliable. Like they sound absolutely insane. Yes. I mean, I don't know what it is, but like the newer Mustangs, but
parts
like,
are super.
They are the loudest freaking cars.
Yeah, I think that might be a little bit of the owners. Yeah, some louds.
But it's like, I mean, you look at like the Camaros and then like the Corvette stuff. Like those cars are loud, right? And it's like then like a S550 pulls up and you're like, that is insanely loud. Yeah, like it's got like a different pitch to it or something. I don't know.
It's a very aggressive motor. It's like it does sound good, and the reliability seems to be phenomenal on those.
Yeah, I know people have really been loving that platform. We've been seeing it in a ton of different motorsports. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like an easy one you can pick up, throw some like modifications on it if you want to supercharge, if you want to turbo it, like
even just bolt.
You can literally just bolt on whatever the hell you want, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So, all right, there's two platforms we haven't talked about yet that are probably some of the most popular platforms on the internet.
All right, let's hear it.
LS.
Tell me about it. I don't know. I'm at the point where it's like I see like LS swap things and I'm just like, cool. I don't know.
It's a practical motor that I understand because it's pretty cheap to do a swap.
In a sense, like
for what you get for power,
a ton of parts
and reliability parts, but I don't think that's a motor that has a whole lot of soul to it. And everyone's gonna be like, oh, put cams, whatever.
Yep.
Well, it's just in so much stuff now that I'm like, I don't know. And the other thing is usually it's really loud. Like people aren't putting mufflers on it or anything.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like freaking header dump to the ground. Like, or just out the freaking hood. Yeah.
It's a lazy motor.
And it's making like 300 horsepower.
Yeah. And then people supercharge it and stuff like that. It's fine, but I don't know. I feel like what that motor is getting put in, if the car came with it, fine, I get it. It's cool, I guess. But if the car didn't come with it, a lot of the times what people are putting that LS into, they're taking out something that was a big like soul of that car.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's why, you know, I'm not a huge advocate of like LS swap RX-7s. It's like, you have something that's very unique about this car. It's like, yes, it's a troublesome point of the car, but like that's what makes those cars so unique and like why a lot of people love them.
The handling characteristic is totally different then.
And it's, you dump this heavy, because like, freaking 13B is like this big.
It's a little baby.
You can like carry it around with you if you wanted to. Super tiny engine. And you dump this huge, you know, V8 in the front of it. It throws everything on.
It's like
V8. Like, it was cool. Like, I guess, but it's just like you said, you take the soul out of the car. It's like anytime I see FD come up for sale, it's like LS, I just like, oh no, I don't want anything to do with that. And I feel like a lot of people are getting to that point too, where it's just like, dude, we've seen this. It's like I want the rotary in the car. Like I want to deal with the issues. I want to have fun with it. I want the uniqueness of that platform. And it's like nothing against LSs in general. Like I think, you know, there's a ton of good motors that fall into that category because, like, you know, LS has been around for freaking ever. Yeah. There's so many different variations of them. Yeah, it gets the job done, but it's like, I don't know, it feels like kind of a cop-out at this point.
Yeah, and if you have an LS swap car, like a 240 or whatever, we're not saying we don't like your car. It's just,
no, it's like, you keep doing you. Don't listen to us. Like, don't take it to heart. Like,
it's just when we're talking about motors specifically, like, there isn't as much heart with it. Now, if it's like, if you have a truck with an LS and get some cams, like they can be cool. Like I get that. But when I hear a super lopey Eidolon, like it would be a small Japanese sports car, I'm like, this is a little weird.
Yeah, it just throws me off. It gives me a bad vibe.
Okay, here's another one we haven't talked about.
Oh God, I'm trying to think.
2JZ.
Oh, 2JZ.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the 2JZ?
Oh man, that's like, I'm gonna say something.
Do it.
That's the LS of the Japanese car world.
It really is.
Yeah, because it came in a lot of things.
Yep.
And they can be really, really great. You can get thousands of horsepower out of them if you stick a lot of money into it.
Yep.
But they can also be a little troublesome.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty reliable motor.
Yeah.
I've got the lame version with an NA1 in the IS300.
Oh, you mean your four-door Supra?
Yeah, if you are out there calling your IS300 a four-door Supra, go sell your IS300 because it's not what it is. The 2JZ is, I think I pissed off Mike Power when I told him this, but it's there. It's always there. It's reliable. It gets the job done, but like, man, does it not sound like an RB. Like,
I like the sound of the 2J though.
I like the sound. I'll say I think the 1J is way cooler sounding.
I mean, that's fair.
Than the 2J. It's a little bit more high strung.
Yeah. I don't think it sounds bad by any means, but yeah, there's, I think, definitely better sounding engines out there. But I mean, it's a distinct sound. Like, you can tell when it's a 2J.
Sounds like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
It's a cool motor. I like it.
It's proven itself time and time again. It's like, you know, you can build those things that, like, the stock, bottom end is like what it makes those engines. It's like they can hold up to a ton, and it's like you can build them relatively, easy. It's just, again, I think that's one of those ones where parts are starting to get expensive. A lot of people are trying to snag them up.
So many people have done stuff with them where it was like 2J the world for a while.
Yeah.
People putting 2Js in just like Mustangs and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's chill out a little bit here, because it's a cool motor. Like I like it. I like how bulletproof it is. But once again, some people are swapping those into cars, like a lot of S chassis swaps. Once again,
2J S chassis.
Was it
like a 2J S chassis?
Yeah, like that's a really heavy motor in the front of something that isn't.
It's a long motor.
Yeah, it's long. Like I mean, that and the RB being straight sixes, they're freaking long. But people do it, like it's really popular. Like it's a good drift competition formula. Yeah. 2J S chassis, like that's really common to make a lot of power with. But for what we're doing, it's a lot. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a KA, so I can't.
That's actually a motor too. I know I'm jumping on that Nissan bandwagon, but the KA I think is a really, really cool motor.
Yeah,
it's a little truck motor.
I mean, the one that's in mine is pretty solid. It's seen a lot of abuse, and I'm not being any nicer to it.
They keep coming.
And it just keeps on giving.
Yeah,
so
they're like go, go, go.
Yeah,
and you can, like, if you turbo it, especially the single cam ones, you can make a lot of power.
Yeah.
The Drift Team Hayes, when they're at Final Bout, they like some 600 some horsepower. Like turbo
single
KAs.
cam turbo KAs.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And like, geez, and they like detuned them for US Air with like 400 some horsepower. And I'm like, that's crazy. And I'll be honest, a turbo KA sounds really good. I think they sound awesome.
Yeah. I think
motors.
I've heard a couple now, and I'm like, oh man, that's expensive, but I want to do it.
I mean, it's expensive, but I think you don't need to go crazy with it.
No, yeah, I think, long run with the 240 for me specifically, I don't want like crazy power. Because I look at something like when I drove the Gainers car for Behind the Wheel episode, I was like, this is fun. Yeah, like this seems like the perfect amount for like what I would really enjoy. Yep. And I know he said I don't know if he knows specifically, but I think he shot me a ballpark around like 350 or something like that. And I was like, this is fun.
Yeah, his car is really cool, and I think if you wanted to turbo if you were going to turbo on your cars, your KA one would be the easiest. A lot of support out there for it. Yeah. And if you wanted to make even like 250, that would be a huge jump in power.
Oh yeah, it doesn't need much, because it's like my biggest thing right now is just like gripping up and like stuff like that. Or if it's just enough to just keep them wheels going, it's like that's all I need. Yeah. I don't need anything like 500-600 horsepower or anything crazy like that.
Yep. Trying to think any other motors we haven't talked about that people are gonna
be like, I can't believe you didn't mention this. I mean, what about like I know like you got a bunch of Toyota ones out there. You got like the 1UZ. You got a lot of like the newer like BMW stuff. So BMW in general has been making some absolutely insane engines for a while.
The 1UZ, real quick, I love that motor. I was going to swap into the IS300, but for the same price, I could buy a 240. So I did that. But I think the 1UZ is a super like slept on motor. Yeah. I know people are doing swaps with it, but it's Toyota. Toyota stuff is just bulletproof. Like it's super reliable. The newer BMW stuff.
This is like even some of the older stuff too.
But yeah, like if I were to pick a BMW motor I like, it's probably the N54 because it's like the German 2J. Right. Literally. So I think that's cool. I love straight sixes. Like they sound good, smooth, make good power, torquey.
I think the B58s in the new Supras and stuff, I think are absolutely insane. Seeing what Dakota's been able to do, even though like parts for that car and his car specifically are more expensive. I think that's just kind of how it goes. It's a new car and it's like a popular car and it's a more expensive car, so like aftermarket parts are gonna be expensive. But dude, with just a catless downpipe, an intake, exhaust, and a tune, the difference that has really made to that car, it is quick. Yeah. Like it is really quick. Like it handles so freaking good. Yeah. But and it honestly, I'm gonna say something that might piss our BMW friends off, but it's like I don't think BMW's made a really good sounding engine for the last like decade or so. Horrible. But the B58 sounds amazing.
The B58 sounds good. You BMW owners out there that
and they know it. Talk to Jake. You go talk to Jake and like, Jake, why haven't you thrown on an exhaust on the M3? He's like, because they sound like shit.
Dude, when Lars comes in, he's like downshifting. I'm just like, I'm sorry, Lars, if you're listening to this. I'm just like, bro, that thing sounds like
He's gonna take that to heart.
It's a cool car, but like
cry.
BMW just don't sound good.
I know.
Like
No, they don't.
every straight pipe E36 at the track, I'm just like, God help me. Like maybe it blows up, but it doesn't blow up. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like those motors are very reliable.
I know. I had a 325i E36 for like 5 years, had like 250,000 miles on it. Yeah, that thing should have gone to its grave many times and it still kept on going. I don't know how, but those things are freaking bulletproof.
Yeah, BMW does some cool stuff.
It leaked oil like crazy, burnt coolant a lot, but I mean, it kept
It just
going.
keeps going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big Audi guy at all.
Yeah, I know there's
All their shit sucks to work on. I'll be real. Like,
oh yeah,
every time someone's been like, "Hey, I have to do this," I'm like, "No,
I'm not doing that."
Yeah. And I remember Sean was like, "Yeah, I have to like help with the timing chains on the
the S4."
Yeah, the S4 timing chains plural. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ones out there that nobody miss. I mean, you look at Volkswagen, you got like the VR6 and stuff like that. Super cool engine. They
VR6
sound really good.
Dope.
They sound super good. I mean, there's a lot out there, man.
For Mercedes, some of their V8s from like the mid 2000s, especially like some of their AMG cars, they sound just like really aggressive.
Yeah, Sean had that AMG.
E55.
Yeah, the E55 AMG with the supercharged, the compressor engine in it.
That sounded great.
That car was too fast for its own good.
I know.
Like, it was a boat. Like, that thing is huge, and like it put down like an insane amount of power. Like, he had so much like cool shit on there, for like cooling.
Literally cool shit.
Yeah, literally just to keep the engine cool. But like, yeah, he had like an ice box in it. It was like all this like crazy stuff, and it made like 500 some horsepower, like 600 horsepower, and like it was insanely fast because it just like it hooked too. Like it just like you stomp on it and you're like, holy shit, this car is way too big to be going this fast, and it's like we're gonna die. But the good thing it's got like 20 brake pads on it to stop it.
You know what? We haven't talked about yet, and someone's probably complaining about.
Yeah, what is it?
You guys haven't talked about supercars.
You know what we also haven't talked about?
What's that?
Subaru.
Oh yeah, they make stuff.
I'm sorry.
I love the way the boxer motors from Subaru sound.
Yeah, it's another like distinct like sound, and that's what honestly a lot of people I believe really go to them for.
I never want to own one.
I'll be honest. I kind of own one. I mean, I had the F820 and the FRS.
Well, you did. I mean, you didn't kinda. You did.
Yeah. So like. But I don't know. It's weird seeing like, I had a Scion that was a Subaru. I'm a Subaru owner, but I don't know. Like, it was fun. I think the F824s I think are proving themselves a little more in like the newer generations. But it's like I hit a wall with the car, not literally, but like I hit like a wall with modifying the car because it was like
expensive.
I did the bolt-ons and it's like, okay, well, to get any more power out of this thing, it's like you have to boost it. And they take boosts like fucking ass.
Yeah.
Like you put like 8 pounds in it, you're like, oh, hope everything holds up. Yeah, and then you blow the freaking, like I've seen so many people on like Facebook groups like that throw 8-10 pounds of boost on their F820s, and it's like it's really hit or miss.
Yeah.
Some of them just explode and some of them go for hundreds of thousands of miles, but it's like it's such a hit or miss thing, and it's so expensive. You know, you're talking like $6-7 grand to like turbocharge your car, and it's like, oh, I might as well just go sell it and buy something that's already boosted and spend, $3 grand on upgrading that. I know we've been talking about this a lot lately, but God, who were we talking to? Maybe it was someone at Fuel Fest, or maybe it was someone from.
Is it that dude in blue?
Oh, it was that dude in blue? Yeah, he was here, and we kind of like got on this topic, and he's like, yeah, every Subaru guy you talk to, they're on their third engine. They dumped like 30 grand into the car, and they're barely making 350 horsepower. Yeah. It's like, you know what you can get.
Proud of it.
Yeah, but they're like gung ho about it. Like they're dead set. And you know what? I get it, because the rotary guys are like the same way. Like, we know that they're going to break down. We know that we have to spend a ton of money. We know that we have to go find specific people to work on these engines for us, or we just learn it ourselves and then blow it up again. And yeah, it costs a lot of money to make power out of them, but they're super fun.
Yeah, I mean, the Subaru stuff, it sound like I love the way they sound. They're super cool, but like, gosh, I was thinking about buying a WRX in the fall.
Yeah.
And then I'm buying the Tacoma, so that's not happening.
Well, that was a weird switch up.
It's got 4-wheel drive. Actually, speaking of superchargers, that Tacoma, TRD made a supercharger for that thing. I know we're on Truck Talk right now, but it's literally a bolt-on, and the
right now.
ECU reads the map. They're like $6,000.
Yeah.
But how cool would it be just to like have a little bit of supercharger wine?
That would be super cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. We took CO2 up to Wrightstown the other day. That is supercharged. It felt like a dog.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the truck is also, it weighs like 9 million pounds.
I get that, but like I expected it to be there's a lot of noise and no go.
Yeah. It sounds cool.
Yeah. It was like, and we're going like 20 miles an hour. It's like, are you like Dakota, Florida? He's like, I am Florida.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks.
And the gas gauge is like,
yeah, literally use like a half tank of gas going like 20 miles.
I think we're starting to digress at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't talk about supercars because we can't afford them.
I don't honestly know any of the engines for supercars. I'll be completely honest. I don't pay attention to that stuff.
They got V12s.
Yeah, cool. They got 10 cylinders, 12 cylinders.
Oh, yeah. The V10s from Lamborghinis. And
the only one I care about is the LFA.
LFA?
Yeah, because it sounds super good.
LFA, crazy. It's like a rotary with pistons.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
It just screams at you.
Well, I think I'm good then.
Yeah, I'm sure we missed something, but I'm sure you guys will let us know down in the comments. But thank you guys so much for
we
watching.
talk about any Honda motors except the K24. That's what we also missed.
Yeah, you got your B series.
They're
you got
good.
all that. There's so many good motors out there. I just was kind of going off of like what I've had like experience with or like know more about. And I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about like Honda stuff because I never fell into that scene yet. I feel like I probably will eventually.
Yep.
But yeah.
Cool. We appreciate you guys watching.
Yeah.
Listening. We got wheels and tires. And actually, we do have suspension too.
We do.
At AnoviaWheels.com.
Yeah, you can go check it out. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is Between the Spokes podcast, by the way. I don't think we said that at the beginning, but we appreciate it. So if you guys can give us a follow, give us a like, whatever it is, give us a comment. We appreciate it. And yeah,
cool.
Check everything out on AnoviaWheels.com.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.